Thanks, Roger. Well, let's see how they line up on the BP Ultimate Grid in race 1. The final showdown for the BNT V8s. It's the Hydrolink Grand Finals, and what a great place to have it. The pressure, the power circuit of Pukekohe. And look at that front row of the grid. Craig Beard once again on pole, alongside him Angus Fogg.
Row 2 sees another fast lot of qualifying times from Kane Scott and Timmy Edgell.
Pressure's on Johnny McIntyre, championship leader. Outside, Andy Booth.
Row 4 sees the second of the GM Ford battles of Andrew Anderson and Dean Perkins.
Dale Williams alongside Michael Bristow.
And a man that was very disappointed in qualifying, Paul Manuel, next door to Eddie Bow.
Had engine troubles this weekend, Luke Youlden. On the outside of him, John Penny.
Then we have the rain master Adam Brook next door to the Inky Tulloch.
No problems about the rain today. It's Ross and Richards, the two Waikato boys, side by side towards the rear of the grid.
Another couple men disappointed in qualifying efforts was Andrew Porter and Andy Knight.
And Timaru's Johnny Hepburn, the motorcycle racer, having a good time in the V8s this year. Down the rear of the grid, but plenty of action, especially with Johnny McIntyre. And a bit of drama here for Andrew Porter.
We're in some radio communication, Clint, that team missed out by 1 second. Essentially, the teams have 10 minutes from when the pit opens to when they've got to get out and form on the grid. He was 10 minutes and 1 second, believe it or not. Penalty, start from pit lane.
Oh, how would you feel? Hydrolink Grand Finals too. Perhaps that's their best under pressure moment already. Andrew Porter from just down the road in Manukau. Here they are, Beard and Fogg side by side. What will happen? Buckle up, BNT V8s getting ready to roar.
Go.
Fan out, down the inside, down the outside. Beard and Foggy, clean and smooth so far into the Jenny at home sweeper.
Timmy Edgell also taking the battle right to Kane Scott on the outside.
Manuel going a little bit wide. Dale Williams, come in, spinner.
Okay, that's Dean Perkins saying he got hit in the back. We see Dale Williams spinning. I think we need to see another angle to actually see what actually transpired here.
Well, at least they got past the first corner. Okay, you're on board with Michael Bristow. There's Williams. Oh, taps the inside of the GT Wildman man and goes on a wild ride himself.
He did. He just cut the corner a bit fine into the back of Dean. Really own admission, own fault.
So we're back racing now. Beard, Fogg out in front.
Look who's lingering in third place. Andy Booth capitalised on the start. Bang right up there again.
And on board with the Fujitsu Ford of Kane Scott.
Now we know in past history of the Commodores, they're very competitive for 4 or 5 laps and they start fading back. This may work against Kane actually, because if the same thing happens with Andy Booth and he starts fading back but is defensive and holds Kane up, it's going to allow Johnny McIntyre and the other guys to get on the back of this battle.
Remember, McIntyre and Scott will be playing their own little wee cat and mouse game right throughout the weekend, shadowing each other in the chase for the championship points.
Cars are moving around. You see the front of Angus Fogg's car there, the explosion of white powder coming out. That's the carbon fibre digging into the circuit. Pukekohe has shown its maturity of the bumps. You can only see that from the in-car footage of Kane Scott's car. The cars are bouncing, they're banging. You can hear the engine revs go up and down when the cars are getting airborne.
Challenge for the drivers to handle on the track and for the crews to get set up off the track.
Well, I know Craig in the GT3 car, he said he had to physically lift the seat in the car and he's got his hooker shoulder in. Remember when he was here at the first round pre-Christmas, he actually tore the rotator cuff in the GT3 Porsche.
Now he's got Angus Fogg all over him down the inside as they come out of the hairpin. Booth getting a little bit wide. Scott right behind him. Look at Fogg here.
I dare say he might stay there. Yeah, oh, fantastic move, outstanding.
Up and over the hill and he slides past Beardo and takes the lead.
Now Booth's got a bit of a run on Craig here. He may look down the inside and saying that Craig will probably defend it.
This is where they get the speed wobbles and bounce around the sweeper.
Oh, look at the things move, would you?
Fogg now, Beard, Booth. Scott tucked in nicely, Edgell right behind him. And here's the battle for the championship. You're on board on the left with Kane Scott in 4th place. And on board on the right with Johnny McIntyre back in 7th. Remember, he's got a 38-point lead. He just has to shadow Scott right throughout this weekend to take his 3rd title in a row. And of course, McIntyre having a look around the outside of Anderson as Scott goes around the outside of Booth. Remember, McIntyre coming off 3 in a row at Manfield, but lots of changes to the car this weekend.
The car's so loose, like, cannot get it onto the back straight at all.
That's Johnny McIntyre communicating back to the team. I dare say that's probably just the initial setup in the car. We're only 2 or 3 laps into this race. The other interesting thing that we saw from Johnny McIntyre's car is Andrew Anderson's brake light coming on towards the end of the straight. Nothing wrong with that. The drivers actually pump the brake pedal. The brake pedal gets a little bit long, just nature of the beast. They pump it up, so when they go to hit it properly at the end of the straight, pedal's there, it's rock hard, the car stops.
If you don't pump it, what happens?
The brake pedal will actually go to the floor. The car will carry a little bit more speed. It will stop, just takes a fraction longer than normal.
Just feels like you haven't got any brakes.
Correct.
That'll be a bit of a worry around here, I tell you that, the BNT V8s. And I tell you what, it's a bit of a worry for Johnny McIntyre because they haven't had the best of setups this weekend.
No, they haven't, but look at this Commodore. You'll see it getting bigger and bigger in the picture. That's the draft starting to come into effect now.
Andrew Porter too trying to make up for lost time after missing out on the pit lane.
Pulls out, gets past. See the brake lights here, Nick Ross? Exactly the same thing as Andrew Anderson. The boys just bringing the brake pedal back to themselves. Hey, he's made this move stick.
Yeah, he's making up some good ground there. Down the inside, Richards in front, Bristow in front. Back out with the scrap between McIntyre, trying to get past
He's going to have a run on the inside here.
Can he take him down the inside?
He's going to have a good look at it.
Anderson shuts the doors. They bounce through the Jenny and home sweeper. Oh, drifting a bit wide.
Yeah.
And McIntyre, can he do a Beardo? Beardo's favourite place to pass, and McIntyre's made it stick. And look at the wild man, Dean Perkins.
Dean's actually got a run here. He may actually get Johnny McIntyre as well if he can just get in that draft and carry the momentum.
Johnny squeezed Anderson wide, moved up to 6.
That's an update for Kane Scott from Craig Russell, the engineer of that car, just saying Johnny Mac's made another place up, getting critical towards the calculation for the championship.
Yes, we said it's a weekend for the calculators. At the moment it's Fogg, Beard, Booth, Scott in 4th, McIntyre now 6th. Booth hanging on to it up and over the hill. Great shots on board. Look at the face of Kane Scott. Man, that's determination plus.
Interesting, you hear that slight change in the engine noise. That's actually Kane going from 4th to 3rd gear around the sweeper.
Back down the main straight, back in the mid-pack battle. Bristow, big move down the inside.
Pretty ambitious move.
Pretty bold move on. He's just taken out Inky Tulloch. And they're both onto the grass, and that's Adam Brook as well.
He apologised to Inky and Richards made it, just the pedal went to the floor up.
Try and carry on.
Yeah.
Michael Bristow talking back to the team. And what happened to these guys? That's Richards and Penny. There's more cars involved in this prank, I'll tell you that.
Interesting, Michael Bristow communicated to his team that he didn't have a brake pedal.
Safety car, safety car.
So once again, drama here in the BNT V8s. And look at the damage there for Andrew Porter. He's got mixed up in this prang as well.
That's 5, at least 6 cars involved in this.
Simon Richards, he's not happy. Bristow goes past it. Oh, gives him the big word. Porter in the pits, and so's our man Roger Davis.
Big damage here to Andrew Porter. In fact, they pulled that front splitter off the car. Your mechanics are getting there, pulling that left rear or left front guard away from that wheel to get Porter back out onto the racetrack. But bit of damage. In fact, there's a few cars. John Penny coming into pit lane as well. Big damage on the door. Well, we just heard that the red flag might have come out, so that's going to give the Porter boys more time to get this car repaired.
Talk about a tangle with tempers as well. Drama down pit lane here in the Hydro League Grand Finals. Let's take a look at what happened, Mork.
Michael Bristow coming down the inside too. He's already got 2 wheels slightly on the grass there. At this stage, you're hard on the brakes, but you see Michael's car keep accelerating. He's on the dirt again, on the rivel strips, right on the side of Inky. But look at the right front tyre in Michael's car. You'll see it smoking. That is actually the car braking or the tyre locking up. So to say he didn't have any brakes, don't believe is quite true. Another side, Inky just going about his business day to day. Bang, gets T-boned.
Now on board with Bristow. Listen to this.
I think the jury's going to be out on this one. Okay, this will explain the damage to...
Oh, evasive action. John Penny trying to get out of the way, and Simon Richards nowhere to go.
When you see it on TV, Clint, it looks like an eternity, but it's just a split-second thing when you're inside the car.
This is where Porter suffered his damage. Oh, a three-way tangle. So real drama here in the Hydro League Grand Finals. One man who's not happy is Inky Tulloch.
Inky, you've come in on the red flag, but mate, from the outside, looks like you're T-boned.
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking of back there. I mean, that's a fast bit of the track. you know, getting hit from behind there is just, we're very fortunate it wasn't worse, but they really got to get a brain.
So was it brain fade or brake fade? We'll take a break. Back with more on the BNT V8s. Welcome back to the Hydrolink Grand Finals, getting ready for a restart now after more drama in the BNT V8s. But hey, we've been used to that after 18 races this season. Fog, beard from the restart. McIntyre looks like he's got off to a good start there, and the outside of Timmy Edgell down to the sweeper. Edgell coming back.
I dare say there's a little bit of uncertainty in Johnny McIntyre's team. He got the jump on Timmy Edgell, 100% entitled to do that under the restart rules. Maybe the team thought they had to wait till they get to the start-finish line, so they've readdressed it just in case.
Yes, with only 38 points between him and Kane Scott, on board with Scott now. The last thing he needs is a DQ, like Teratonga.
Look at the speed difference and what Kane's carrying down into the straight.
Well, that's a big move by Kane Scott, because that'll put him up into third place.
Booth hasn't given it up yet, still in the picture.
Or has it? Boothie at the Big Ben Pies Commodore holding on to third. Scott round the outside, back in for fourth. McIntyre back in sixth. Right, let's take a look at the restart now. On board with McIntyre.
Yeah, the safety car has pulled off. Now, somewhere around here there's a flag marshal's point. When we see green flags, they're racing again. See to the right, still flashing, not quite racing. It's actually made an illegal pass.
That's under yellow.
He has. And I think that's why you find the team has told him to readdress the position to save getting a drive-through penalty.
And back out on track, they continue that scrap. Edgell, McIntyre, the rest of the field funneling through the Jenny and home sweeper. Great shot as they come off the hill. Bouncing around this challenging part of Pukekohe.
What the safety car does, it allows everybody to readdress or really regroup again. Oh, Michael Bristow going wide, 3 into 1. We saw that before, doesn't work.
It's another B&T sandwich down the back straight.
Adam Brooks just boxed in here. He can't go any further because he's bumped drafting Nick Cross. We know there's a car to the left somewhere. Hear that ticking noise? It's actually the front of the car.
Oh, Foggy loses it. Beard takes the lead, regains it. Thanks very much. A moment at the hairpin.
It's amazing how quick the fortunes change, isn't it?
Just overcooked it under pressure. But it didn't seem like he was under pressure.
No, but we saw in the first part of the race that Angus Fogg has a lot of initial car speed. Maybe he can claw it back. What was interesting for me, certainly in the first part of the race before we saw that incident, is that the continuous speed of the Commodore of Andy Booth. In the past, we've seen that car drop off. We saw it strong for the first 5 or 6 laps. I dare say Kane Scott's got one challenge ahead of him to try to get in front of it.
Yes, that is the challenge for Kane Scott, and the challenge for Johnny McIntyre is to get past the Chester's Ford Falcon of Timmy Edgell. Now, on board with Scott.
If Johnny McIntyre thought anybody is going to get out of his way and give him the championship easy, he's got to diminish those facts. You'll see Timmy Edgell is taking the battle to him every corner of every lap. The championship is not coming into play on these two.
Scott having another crack at the Big Ben Pies Commodore. The AV8 Motorsport boys have been doing a lot of tweaking with the setup of the Holden this weekend.
And it is working for them, there's no doubt.
And that little wee battle has actually allowed McIntyre to just close the gap on Scott as well.
It has, but that battle has also allowed Craig Beer and Angus Fogg to pull away. Now, what's interesting here is Andrew Porter's car. With that front splitter missing, or the big void you see in front of it, Dale Williams going really slow. Anyway, that car is going to be almost undrivable around this part of the circuit because there's no downforce or no front grip or the air pushing the car into the ground.
Michael Bristow will know that a couple of the guys involved in that big prank are filling his rear vision mirror at the moment.
Certainly will be. Interesting. See the brake lights come on Michael Bristow? That's him pumping the brake pedal. It's unfortunately what escaped him a few laps earlier.
And even though he's got to rearrange front on that Ford, no one told Andrew Porter it's going to be difficult to drive. And look at him monstering Bristow. Penny at the back there as well. Right, last time into the hairpin. And it's Beard out in front.
Beard's been defensive on the inside here. Can Angus get the run, do the crossover like we saw a few laps earlier? He's got a good run. Craig's got a bit sideways.
Thrilling finish to the first race of the weekend.
He's got the momentum going on him. Not going to go on the inside.
Foggy bouncing on onto the grass. Contact. Beard goes wide. Fogg down the inside.
Craig done a good job to control that.
Wow, what a dramatic win for Angus Fogg. Or will that go to the protest room?
I dare say there will be an inquiry on that because there was contact made and there was an advantage made through the contact. See what the review process comes of it.
So this could keep the judiciary very busy into the night. Angus Fogg and Craig Beard. Look at Beard pulling up beside of him. Oh, sorry, mate.
It's almost like he's putting his hands up in surrender saying, well, I was at fault.
So let's take a look at the Hydrolink best under pressure moment now.
Okay, this is just good hard racing here. Craig comes across natural line. Angus does the crossover. Okay, there's the first hit. That's the second hit right there. That's the one, that's the dangerous one.
And look at Beardo under pressure, hanging on to it, keeps it on the track.
You can see the whites of his glove working. He's done a tremendous job to keep control of it. Ah, brilliant.
On board with Fogg.
One. And then another one for good measure. You see the brake light comes on Craig Beard's car after the first hit. That's so he can control it.
And after all that drama, in the end, the win did go to Craig Beard with Booth second, Scott third, closing the gap on McIntyre back in fifth. Angus Fogg demoted back to 15th place for the contact with Beard, and Bristow had to finish behind Inky Tulloch for taking him out in the race too. So plenty of drama in the BNT V8s.